Hello again, and welcome back to, Kerbal Space Program Science Mode, part 13 now. Which, yeah, I think last time we stuck a little rover on the moon, which I didn't do an awful lot of science, but it was fun to do, a bit of a learning experience. And yeah, I think this time we're going to my plan is to actually put to get that reusable lander to the moon, and then if we have time, do a build a land base to land on Minmus to start accumulating science over time, whilst we then look to Juno. Cool. Let's get going. Cool. Right. So yes, plans to go straight for the VAB, I think, and start building the actual popping this moon lander, which I believe is this one, I think. Yep. Yeah, so we're going to have this moon lander. We're going to pop it on a rocket and do the whole thing with the Actually, what we can do before we do this, because I believe in our sub-assemblies we currently have a no, not that one. Yeah, a free Kerbal launch escape system. I'm thinking we do I build a two-man one as well, just so that it's not as we don't need as much mass. So I think what I'll do first is I will put that together. So we start with Mark II command pod. Parachute time. Utility. Couple of drogue chutes. Yeah, I'm gonna do the standard min pressure setting. Couple of big chutes. Probably reduce this. I will leave it. I'll leave the. Yeah, I'll shoot it as is. Pop these in separate stages. Then we stick a verbal. Where is it? Heat shield, which we want this one, I think. Yeah. So that's our basic return module. Stick our. That's too big. I think we need a 6. And where is the launch escape system? So. We want that really to go just before the thing. We don't necessarily. We do want that staging. Cool. And we then hit the. Yeah, so we've got that one. We want a decoupler here. No, again, that's too big. We want the 18 decoupler. Like so. And then we want to build a little, again, set this to vacuum. And yeah, we'll do a structural tube. We stick a probe core in there. Configure that to be that. Basically means we maintain some control. And then we want a relatively small fuel tank. With some we kind of want these to be put these there. 110 meters per second. I mean that should be plenty for our boats. Although I feel like they're a bit big. I don't know. Let's do this and then have them not be directly in front of the. That goes 1,000, and then our delta V. Yeah, that's probably fine. Again, we're wanting this for maneuvering, like once we're separated. So we'll add a ladder for transferring. We don't want 4 of them though. We only want the 1. And I feel like we should probably move this down a bit so that it extends. But kind of the idea is that we have something we can easily grab onto. Retract ladder. Alright, we add fuel tanks. We want engines. We want something to give us a kick. That's don't think it's these ones. I guess Separaton's probably the best bet. I guess we put these like offset by 1, offset by a bit, so that like that's going to be our abort procedure. And we get TD8. Actually, no, not TD18, because there's every possibility we're going to want to adapt this to like a smaller thing. So I'm thinking we stick an adapter on the back, which I don't think we have one of the right size actually. No, this is too big. Yep. Because that's a 2.5 meter. This is it doesn't look too stupid actually. Like I feel like we could probably just put the actually yeah, I could probably just put the decoupler straight on, to be honest. It probably won't look too stupid. Like so. And then just check our staging, etc. So I think first thing that happens is these, but basically everything would fire at this point as a launch escape. So basically that's the jettison part. Then jettison that, then jettison that. I guess we jettison the top first, then the bottom, and then parachute's cool. Right, let's hit the abort action group and apply everything that we want. So we want this thing to decouple, these things to kick off. I love how the solid rocket boot, the Separatrons have a shutdown engine option. Like that's not a thing. And this thing to activate engine as well. And that's basically all of that stuff, I think. Now we reroute it. Like so. We go to our subassembly, click off the thing because my fault. Sub-assemblies. Just gonna add a thing to add this to. Nah, never mind. I'll just add it into the main one. Like if we ever get enough sub-assemblies where we're gonna have a problem, then to Kerbal LES. Getting 2 Kerbals safely away. Cool, and then we can get rid of this. We can reopen our Munar Lander, and now hopefully we can build it in such a way that so yeah, so now hopefully we should be able to go to our sub-assemblies, grab this one, flip it upside down, add it on top there, and basically we stick our Kerbals in here, and then we just transfer them to the we transfer them to the to the lander once we're actually safely in orbit. So we can build this fairing. Actually, we want to put the fairing here or the fairing further down. I think we'll leave this for now. We're gonna double check all this staging actually before we do anything else. I can worry about staging later. So, yes, we want to be able to get this thing. Actually, we take this off for now. We want to. Yeah, we want enough delta V to get this thing into lunar orbit. And I believe we put a, yeah, we've got all of our protocols and everything in here, so that should be fine. We don't necessarily need that much in terms of RCS in this thing. So what we need is, we need fuel tanks. See what this will get us. Engines, let's go with the Poodle. 2600. Delta V, I see that's in vacuum cabin, yeah. 0.85 thrust to weight ratio, that's fine. Should be enough to get us where we need to go. Cool, so we stick this on top again. Grab ourselves a TD25 decoupler, and then we stick the fairing on this thing. This needs to be there you go. Cool. Where's the thing up? I'm going to try and get this whole thing into orbit, which is, as we always do, we put this on sea level, and we'll check our, actually we'll check the staging at this point, because yeah, so this is the getting rid of the thing. So we want the we want this to be here. So we deploy the fairing. Then this decoupler should probably go afterwards, because we might want to decouple the main like drive and sort of, yeah, we do, because we want to decouple the ascent stage and have it go re-enter Kerbin's atmosphere. Yeah, so it's very, actually, before we forget, let's just double check our abort action group. Yeah, so that's that. We want to deploy this fairing as well, because we forgot to do that last time, and um, 4 sides. We won't bother with clamshell deploy. We'll just have it. Cool. So yep, right. So yeah, so fairing. Then we detach this, and we'll activate those engines at the same time. So this goes to here. We get rid of that. That only happens if like after a jettison. Then we get rid of that. Then we get rid of that. This parachutes, and then this is just like after we got to the moon, hopefully. Cool. Did we affect the naming of this thing? Yeah, priority 1. Close this. Double check the Munar Lander. Then I don't know if I don't know if I configured vessel naming on here, did I? No, I didn't. That's fine. Cool. Let's focus on getting this thing to orbit. So start with the second stage. Give it a skipper and see what we get. 1400 with 0.2, 0.73. It's not quite exactly what we want. Why don't we have a bigger engine? The mainsail. Not quite as much, but yeah, much better TWR. So that's 1300. So we need another like 2000 in the lower stage. For this one, we'll need eventually we'll hopefully get even bigger fuel tanks, but for this. Yeah, let's use the ESA coloring, and then yeah, I think if you stick another mainsail on the bottom here, then and this staging is quite confused. I think the merging of the yeah. So you got it's not that far off. Again, 1100. So I think if we get some SRPs on this bad boy. It is a very tall rocket, actually. I'm wondering if this might be a bit unstable. I'm wondering if it might be worth having a. I don't think there is a TD6 structural tube, is there? No, the lowest. Oh no, the structural fuselage. I think is the. I think that's also 12. That's also a. Yeah, that is. Never mind, I feel like this might be a bit wobbly. I guess I can try strutting it up. I think that's probably going to be the weak wobbly point. So yeah, so we still need a bit more to get this thing off the pad. When in doubt. This thing's what, 1500, so. Probably want like. I mean, this would add 2000, but obviously some additional weight, but. Can't wait to see how the staging gets confused with this one. So it's putting you there. And if these go at the same time, probably isn't here. 1.6, 1317, then 462, then 1370. It's not great. Although having said that, like once if we get anywhere near orbit, then this thing becomes like 2000, which should be way more than we need. Alternatively, we can replace these with some liquid fueled boosters. Maybe that's the way to go. Yeah, we could do a actually no, I'll try I'm gonna try something a bit different this time. I'm going to try for a what's it called? Asparagus staging, which would hopefully give us a bit more efficiency, I think. It's supposed to, although it's a bit. I don't think I've actually got it working before. Like I think it always seems to give you less. Like it seems to be like less super efficient than you kind of expect. So we do this for now just as a guide. Then we do this one. Actually, no, I want to hold up. Put this up here because I want to attach our boosters near the top. Put these here and then use that as a guide for these. So we go to 2, put 2 here, and we build out our boosters this way. Then we move these down. So I kind of like orange. Stick another one below, like so. Make these orange as well. Then don't to worry too much about money. Stick some more main cells on the bottom. There you are, 1.99. Then we strut these up. Actually, I kind of want to strut them slightly differently, don't I? Because I want to leave space for the fins. So kind of works. I was thinking more like wider to narrow than narrow to wide. Yeah, and then this one starting out a bit wider here, but then coming in a bit narrower in the middle, like that. That should work. Add nose cones. Add our separatrons as well, because these are going to be quite big, so we want to make sure they detach properly. Yeah, I guess we use this stage here, so let's fly at the same time with that, and then like so. Then hopefully by alt clicking and duplicating these parts, they should all appear in the same stage. Yep. Okay, so that's like one thing. And then if we About there. Like that. Then we can get rid of these. Don't need these anymore. Like so. Then we need to separate all of these out into 2 stages. So that's those 2. Let's pop these 2 into stage 9. Then yep, 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 and then yep, 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 and then these should hopefully be all of the ones for, one would hope. Oh, these at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's right. Cool, so 2 separate stages, and then sort of going backwards. This is the first one to pop, and then this is the second one to pop. So the second one to pop should be feeding into the main tank, and then the first set to pop should feed into this tank like that, and then in theory that should be asparagus staging. So our first stage has 1.82, 798 meters per second. Second has 1.59 with 1200, then 1100, then 1370. So that should be enough. Like that's well over 3000. We also need to add in some fins as well. Actually, before we do anything else, what I might do is I'm thinking about sticking some maybe some more avionics in these. So what do I guess structural. It's a shame you can't colour these tubes. But yeah, stick. Actually, what we'll do is we'll stick the some power in there as well, just to power them, like so. That. So hopefully this gives a bit more control. One hopes, but we'll never be sure. And then we want some more aerodynamics. We want the big fin Delta Deluxe wing that's on this one. We want this at 4, and then hopefully if we hit the center of mass, center of thrust, and center of lift. Center of lift is nicely below. And then hopefully by the time we get to this point we're high enough in the atmosphere where it won't matter. So let's just double check our staging, and again just make sure we're at sea level. So yeah, first stage is all of the engines down here. Then this first set pop, then second set pop, then that third stage pops. Then hopefully by that point we're in orbit. Pop the fairing, detach the thing, transfer our cables, get rid of this. Yeah, so hopefully this should work. Just double check the abort, because now that we're using only liquid engines, our abort system means that we can shut down these engines if we hit an abort. Yeah, so shut down engine, shut down engine, shut down engine. I like to over-engineer. TCB BC gaming. And yes, Scratch, I'm the least viewed person on KSP right now. Yeah, I probably am. But you know, yeah, it's up to other people if they want to watch. I'm doing this for my own enjoyment rather than trying to get popular. So, what are we looking at? We want. Yeah. And yeah, I know this is way over engineered for getting to the moon. Like I've got like 5,000 delta V. It's way more than I'll ever need. But then I'm playing on science mode, not upstage engine. So the like the main the upstage engine at the moment is Poodle because it's seems pretty good enough in good enough in vacuum. Like of the engine options I currently have. I haven't really experimented with much of those. Mid stage are they're all main sales at the moment. The I think the skipper was giving me about like a little bit less thrust to weight ratio that I wanted, so I just decided to sod it, go for a main sail. But yeah, I'm fully expecting this thing will explode horrendously. But there, like that's half the fun. So yeah, I think that's everything. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's that. Then that, yeah, I think we're okay. I was doing the making, yeah. So all the engines shut down and abort. Have I set this up yet for uh, yeah, I have. Cool, that's fine. Right, you. Let's try flying this thing. Oh wow, SST on realistic size. I imagine that's quite I haven't even thought about doing a realistic solar system, or the realism overhaul. Like I've seen people like videos of people playing in those mods, and I imagine it's a lot of fun. But I'm not quite. Yeah, I haven't even done like single stage orbits in Kerbal in like stock Kerbal yet. Even on my first sort of career save, which I've been doing quite a bit of, it's I haven't even tried space planes yet. Like the whole sort of like plane like the whole sort of like planes aerodynamic side of it is something I haven't actually done much on yet. So I'll probably try doing it on this game mode at some point because I mean yeah, I mean, aside from like the risk of killing Kerbals, like I won't need to waste a lot of money trying to figure out how do I plane. Uh, There we go. And we don't want these two. We want I think we still want a pilot and a scientist and a pilot at this point. Lando. But we want them in the command pod for launch rather than in the lander can. Like so I'm like how much more difficult is stuff on the on realistic solar system, because I know like you know Earth, like it's Earth's a lot bigger than Kerbin, so you do Earth's a lot bigger than Kerbin, so like I know that you do need a lot more delta V to get into orbit, so, and everything needs more delta V really. Um, hmm, cool. I think that's what we're gonna do. Let's try this thing. Uh, I'd probably be more than 60%. I guess like the principles are still kind of the same. It's just like you need to have bigger numbers. Um, so it's about two-thirds harder. You think? Like we are like okay, so like learning from last time, we like the thing thinks up is up, which is good. I have no idea how stable this thing's going to be, but that's half the fun. Thrusters to maximum. Give ourselves a reasonable view. I imagine this thing's probably going to start like wobbling horrendously at some point, because most of my long rockets tend to. Okay, probably going to. We are going a bit south of but it's fine. I mean, like we're going a little bit of an inclination, but like we've got loads of delta V in the upper stage, so going a bit fast at the moment. Keep our apoapsis about a minute away is what I normally do. Wobbles means that your center of gravity versus center of aerodynamic pressure, I guess. Like, I mean, I know that's why it will flip over, etc. But I mean, like in terms of like not so much like the thing wobbling wobbling itself, but it's more like the actual like structure of it is wobbly. Like I know that it happens when you got like a long ship and you've got probe cores or reaction wheels along its length, and then like the different like probe cores and reaction wheels tend to sort of like they go a bit out of sync, like on either end of the craft, and they're sort of like trying to correct for each other, and you end up with a really wobbly. I've built some ships that are like really long, and yeah, it's like incredibly wobbly when that happens. Like if you turn off SAS, then they sort of stabilize, but oh yeah, I do try. I've tried starting things up. Actually, there was one a craft that I've been building to go to a craft that I've been building for the purposes of going to Eve, which like when I originally built it was very long and very wobbly. But then since they brought out the update so that you do like EVA engineering stuff, I went up there to add a load of struts to it to hopefully make it better, but I don't think it's really improved it that much. We are in space, however. I'm going to try and get a bit closer to like reduce the time to apoapsis to you know put more of my speed into hitting raising the periapsis basically. Oh yeah, space 100k on realistic. Yeah, realistic solar system. That's like the kind of official Kalman line, isn't it? 100k for Earth. Although it's a bit like the atmosphere doesn't. It's a lot less like realistically, it's a lot less like clear cut where the atmosphere actually ends. Like at some point, like the pressure of the atmosphere gets so low that it's basically vacuum. But like that's wrong. Maybe we got a bit too close to apoapsis there. Should be fine though. I hope. Okay, that's space, isn't it? Very not very circular orbit, but we can deal with that later. I'm not that bothered about yeah, actually we should hopefully be on our way to. Okay, yeah, I can fix the orbit later, and again I've got way more delta V than I need. But we are in orbit now, so I can. What's it? I so the person who knows their shit about rockets, etc. Um, yeah, I think I have a feeling like it's probably getting more popular these days, especially with all the stuff going on with like SpaceX, etc. Like it like sort of like space related stuff is kind of an interest of mine. I do find it really interesting. And since I've started playing Kerbal, I've obviously kind of I say learned a fair bit. I mean, I'm guessing the sort of mechanics in Kerbal are kind of based on like actual orbital mechanics. So I'm assuming they are simplified a bit. Um, Obviously, you don't get like if they ever like if they built like the nav ball but for like real spaceships, pretty sure I could fly space. I could fly real spaceships. Um, you're working on a rocket engine in real life. Okay. Um, right. Actually, given that we have a periapsis that's not that far um, out of atmosphere, I'm thinking like the have it yeah jettisoning stuff at the apoapsis should be probably the best thing to do. Um, so if we hold this, then prograde now will become retrograde when we get to the other side of the orbit. So we can try and do this thing. So get rid of that. Uh, did I set this up? um, so I know that obviously like rocket engines are like in like in the I guess in their basic principles quite basic, but obviously like in terms of like actually engineering them, they are incredibly complicated machines. Especially if you want anything like reliable and stuff you can relight, etc. Um, you're essentially like creating and controlling a continuous explosion. Um, right, I possibly haven't set these up on the action groups yet. Hang on. Beautiful. I did not. Let's do that. There we go. It is literally rocket science. Yes. Um, which is kind of it's one of those things like because like the phrase it's not rocket science is supposed to be like um say something isn't complicated, but I mean, like in the basic principles of rocket science aren't ah thank you for following. Like the actual like the basic principles of rocket science are pretty much like you throw things out the back, you go forward. But obviously like the nuance and complexity is all in like making something that will throw stuff out the back. Um, Safety factor of 1.5. What is that? What is a safety factor? I'm not like super clued up on all terminology. Again, it's like a sort of general interest rather than like I'm not like I don't sort of do all the I don't follow everything super technically. Um, right. Anyway, let's try and turn the lights on so we can see what we're doing. Um, okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. So essentially like so it runs at like I guess 2/3 of the of the yeah I guess 2/3 of like the pressure that it feasibly can. Imagine that. Yeah, that would make sense of it. I guess. Yeah. Sounds safe. I don't think there's much we can really do with this. I mean, we can extend it anyway, just in case it's useful. But I don't think it'll actually intersect with the thing because this is wider. But it's not really that important. Uh, Yeah. What could possibly go wrong is another one. Grab board. So yeah, landers in the lander can. Now we just need our little scientist dude to make the journey. Turn his little lights on so we can see what he's doing. The first time I tried EVAing a Kerbal was goddamn terrifying. Like, because it's the whole thing about like it's all like very slight adjustments to the RCS. Like I didn't even know you had to hit the button for you had to hit the button for yeah, I didn't even know you had to hit the RCS button to actually have them activate the jetpack. So the first time I just like it was just like Jeb or Bob or something, sort of like drifting away from the ship, and I'm like, what do I do? And then I learned that yeah, you have to actually turn the jetpack on. Yeah, there's also that as well. Especially like it's and because there isn't like the SAS isn't really working. Aside from like the Kerbal tends to face forwards. Um, and that always remains relative to the camera. So if you rotate the camera around to try and get a better view of what they're doing, the next time you hit a button, they rotate themselves, and suddenly like your axes of translation are no longer lined up with the actual like um, the sort of the relative velocity vector that they were on, and so yeah, and then it's a case of like gradually sort of stopping all the motion in one axis and then in another axis and the third axis and then going from zero trying to get back. Um, but yeah, so in theory now, if we wait until um, having said that, I want to yeah, let's actually we've got the delta V in here. We might as well use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to can I move this to here? Yeah. So basically we basically jettison this as the next thing, and then we jettison this when we've done some going. I mean, again, we should have enough to get to the moon with this stage alone. So yeah, again, like yeah, as you said, and as like fully aware, like this rocket is massively over-engineered for a moon mission. But I do like to have way more delta V than I need because I think like one of the first space flights I did in this save, which was an attempt to do a flyby of the moon on obviously like the what are your thoughts on the Blue SN10 so we wouldn't have to take it apart? Um, I watched the stream live. Like I think it was yeah I managed to catch it because I think I was doing a movie night with some friends, and then the first launch was about happening just as the movie night was supposed to start, but then it kind of aborted at the last minute, and then they didn't actually go until like a couple of hours later, so I managed to actually catch it, and it was like yeah, it blew up 8 minutes after it landed, didn't it? Because it was yeah, because I saw it. Like it looked. I've seen sort of like the videos of the previous like SN8 and SN9, and it's yeah, it's kind of amusing. Like sort of point like essentially just somebody pointing and laughing, but like like amusing watching it try and then fail and then hit the ground and explode. Like sort of like kind of like laughing at it whilst you can because you know that one day like the prototype's going to actually manage the landing, and at that point, it's probably going to like never it's never going to like hit the ground and crash and explode again. And seeing it actually manage the landing, albeit not perfectly. Obviously, the landing legs didn't quite deploy, etc. And then yeah, I watched Scott Manley's sort of summary video on like sort of looking at what he could gauge for the footage, and he was saying that it looked like it was like a pressure vessel, like the bottom tank essentially like failed. It was probably damaged in the touchdown and then failed sometime later. Yes, first moon flyby. I feel it's a bit ambitious. I'm somewhat like skeptical of Starship overall in terms of like I'm like I don't doubt that the engineers at SpaceX know what they're doing and will be able to get it to work. But at the same time, like it's incredibly ambitious, and especially for stuff like spaceflight, it's there's not a lot of room for error, and especially considering like the landing method for Starship being like it does the belly flop and then it lands on powered engines, and as far as I'm aware, there isn't really a backup if those engines don't fire. So if there's people in it when it has to do that last like few seconds flip and land maneuver, and if anything, if two of those engines fail, then yeah, yeah. So this is, I guess it's kind of like it's one of those things, like it's like two kind of approaches in it, because I feel like sort of NASA seems to be more like take careful steps and do it gradually. It takes like 10 plus years to get to the moon, but when they actually they didn't lose that many. Like, obviously, there was like Apollo 1, and I'm not sure if there was like almost Apollo 13. I don't know how many other fatalities have been in the Apollo system. But then like the other thing is to just or is it go fast and break things. And so I mean, especially nowadays, now that they've you have like the you have the ability to have these things flying by computer, so you're not putting anyone in significant danger. Yeah, yeah, like Apollo 1. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's one of those things where like you kind of know that like no one thought of it or something. Like no one, it didn't twig. Like I mean, I work in sort of like software engineering, etc. And there are various like things that when you look at them having like in hindsight are just absolutely stupid oversights. But you can understand how like no one would think pumping pure oxygen, pressurized pure oxygen into a capsule with people in it is a massive fire risk. um, and also obviously the whole like the like having being unable to open the hatch, etc. as well. Like and I think it was like after Apollo 1, like was it NASA was a lot more. Obviously they were quite humbled by that, I think, and they obviously were a lot more um, sort of careful going forwards. Again, this is from what I understand. I mean, I've sort of seen a few documentaries, etc., about the history of the Apollo program, etc., and that's kind of what I kind of get from it. Although, again, it's been a while since I've seen, so I don't know like the exact sort of details of exactly what happened when. But that's kind of the impression I got. Um, but yeah, like so the SpaceX method is again like nowadays you have the ability to they have the ability to have everything flying automatically. So like they may well be flying like 10 or 20 or like 30 starships into orbit and back and landing them like with not a single one going wrong before you even think about putting a person on it. Um, and I think that's probably how you go about it, isn't it? Like I mean, because they have to demonstrate that those Raptor engines are like super reliable to the point where like you would never like you'd expect one to fail like one in however many sort of 100,000 times or whatever. Well, it's like similar to like airplane safety, like you sort of account for like one in X, like one in however many X million flights, a certain thing will go wrong, like probabilistically. Like you can never fully make things safe, but you can make sort of like catastrophic failures manageably unlikely. And I guess that's sort of what they're going for. And again, like SpaceX is doing, really sort of. This is like I remember watching the first time I saw one of the Falcon boosters landing itself, and like I grew up watching Thunderbirds and sort of like the Jerry Anderson stuff like that, and it's like it was like watching something from Thunderbirds in real life. And I was like, my God, I'm living in the future. Anyway, where are we at? Where are we at? We are approaching apoapsis. Let's just, I think, if we hold this position, then in theory, again, we should be pointing retrograde when we get there. Let's just, apoapsis in, what, 6 minutes. And that's 10 seconds shy. There we go, let's warp there. And in theory, we should go into line of retrograde, which we have done. Nice. So we're going to point retrograde and hopefully this thing will just go shooting off harmlessly into the atmosphere. Let's double check these guys are both in the lander can. Cool. Let's try staging this thing. I don't think that thing ever actually. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's good. I'm pretty sure that's heading into the atmosphere. Cool. Let's point ourselves. Let's decide what we're doing. I'm just gonna point this prograde and see how long it. Oh, yeah, it's slow. Oh yeah, I think it's SN. Yeah, I think SN5 because that's because they were because obviously they're testing like the tank integrity, weren't they? And like how much they could pressurize it because obviously like with a spaceship you want to make everything as light as possible. Oh dear, sorry to hear that. Hmm. It's one of those yeah. I'm sorry, very sorry to hear that. So. We're going to. I'll try and sort this out whilst we're chatting. I was going to try to chat to Juna. There's probably enough Delta V in this to go to Juna, isn't there? Let's say 5,000 total would be. I mean, I don't like this thing wouldn't be able to land on Juno, but we could get it there. Juno is the plan. We do have the transfer window coming up in 112 days. Like at some point, like yeah, it doesn't. It's. I have done a Juno mission in my career mode save. I think that essentially like Juno like landing on Juno is as far as I've got in my career mode save. I haven't done any of the other planets yet. But yeah, it's surprising like how like essentially like once you're out of the Kerbin system, it doesn't take an awful lot more Delta V to get to Juno. Right, we're going. Like this isn't really the best orbit to go from, but again we can play around. Let's set that as a target. It's probably a while until we get around to the node, but again we can time warp. We've got solar panels. We don't need to worry about running out of power. Obviously we'll yeah. I've only okay, we have an encounter already. Don't think that's gonna be very useful. Yeah, come back. Test launch orders have failed. No, computer operated. You do you use one of those can't remember what it's called, like the sort of kernel operating system ones. Um, yeah, so my experience of SSTOs like space planes so far has been like I've tried it just out of interest, but I feel like I'm assuming that there's a way of doing it without needing to unlock the Rapier engines. So pray out is like there. Yeah. That's a very weird one. I don't like that one. To be fair, we can probably yeah, it's really weird. Maybe we can Right, let's go for maneuver 2. So we're coming like way down. No, that's well, that's kind of what we wanted to do, but not quite. Uh, yeah, turbo ramjets. I feel like I've seen like Matt Lowndes like numerous space plane videos where it's kind of like do a very very sort of like gradual go up to the go up to the top of the atmosphere and then like speed up so that um yeah ramjets and I'm kind of familiar with the theory, but I haven't actually managed it in again, like I struggle to make like a stable plane. Like I've sort of looked at videos on how you do it, but I just haven't quite managed it yet. So it might be something I try to experiment because like once I've unlocked drone cores, I'll happily like play around with planes flown by drone cores to try and figure everything out without putting Kerbals at risk. Perhaps says we want to get into low moon orbit. Not quite that low. 30 is probably about right. And again, we're still coming in a bit below, so we want to go up and try and get onto roughly equatorial orbit. The joys of trying to line up the ellipse, the elliptical. Not that one. Yeah, that's probably about right. Obviously, we'll need to adjust these after the after original burns, but because this is like my PC spec, I'm not 100% sure. It was one of those. It's one of the I kind of bought it like pre-made off Amazon, um, but it's yeah I can't. It's I could probably find out, but like I didn't like build it myself or anything. Yeah, I built so my last gaming PC, which was I built like 10 years ago. I built it with some help from a friend from uni, and it was a good learning experience, etc. And it all worked fine. But like this time, I know how to do it, but at the same time, like I wanted to get one that was made by someone who will fix it if it's broken. Whereas if I buy all the components myself and mess up putting it together somehow, like um, it's just money gone down the pan. But I can afford to pay someone else to do it for me. So yeah, they're not that hard. I mean, it's surprisingly it is surprisingly straightforward. Like unless you're doing like the one thing I didn't do was try doing one of those like third party like CPU cooler things where you have to apply the thermal interface material, like the thermal interface paste, etc. And that just sounded like I would screw that up somehow. So I never bothered with that. But I used to use the CPU, the one like the fan that came in the CPU box, because that's designed to click just straight over the top. Cool. I'm gonna we have 29-second burn. That sounds fine. Let's do this burn. Yeah, I mean, like, because a lot of the components, like, they only go in one way, and if it does, if you're putting something in the wrong way, then like it'll be obvious because you can't because it won't go. And oh, F, F's in the chat for your rocket. Oh, did it just go? Did it not? Did it like not have enough lift to like get off the runway? Did it just go straight into the ocean? We have 23 seconds. I'm gonna miss my maneuvers, so I'm busy talking to you. No, I'll just focus on this maneuver and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so get up to speed on the runway and then take off at the last minute because there is a bit of like a tiny bit of a ramp at the end of the runway, isn't there? Yeah. I suppose at that point you go faster than you can't stop in time anyway, so you might as well. And then burn the last bit. I'll do. Obviously the yeah. So you have to make some slight adjustments to the thing because obviously like that second maneuver is dependent on the first being exactly as it, which never is. Being sort of like exactly like the first maneuver being perfect, which never is because I always like do a bit of adjustment. Um, well, like I usually slow the burn down towards the end to make sure I don't overshoot because again the first like my first attempted moon flyby which I did on barely enough. Like actually, it was actually slightly more fuel left in the thing after getting into orbit than the maneuver said I needed, and very slightly overburned it, so that like I did get the free return trajectory, but my periapsis on curve in orbit afterwards was well above the atmosphere, so it wasn't gonna error capture. Um, and obviously I had no fuel left to like burn in the other direction. And I was like, let's not do this again. So we had to go and rescue Jeb, which we managed to successfully turn this down. Like so, 44 is a bit like pretty sure we were doing, yeah, radial in. That's going out. Radial out brings us in. Fruity. There you go. Reusable kick stage. Is that like something to give you a bit more speed off the thing, and then like you can recover it? Cool. Let's because it's quite slow. We're gonna point it the direction we want to go. Actually, I wonder if we can adjust this such that we would hit them. Yeah, if we just drop this down and then radial out a bit to. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So yeah, burn time's way too low. I'm gonna reduce this. More like it. A 1014. I don't even know how many attempts it'll take me to be able to get a space plane into the again. Like I mean, I tried like doing just basic planes, and yeah, like getting a stable plane is surprisingly difficult. Like I mean, rockets in comparison are relatively straightforward. You know, you put fins on the back, and generally generally that's all you need. Once you've got something that's got enough boosters to get into orbit. Um, like the I'm not sure if you've played with the Making History DLC, but the Soviet style like spherical spherical modules are quite annoying because you unlock them earlier than the like Apollo like the Gemini and Apollo style ones, and um and they are like super draggy, which if you're kind of early, like not very used to the game and quite early on, and you don't really get the idea of aerodynamic drag and how it affects rockets, makes for a lot of rockets flipping over and you not knowing why. Um, right, let's do this burn, and then try and do a radial in burn to a radial in to bring our periapsis back up again. Will be the plan. So I might do this on the map screen. I think we'll have time. Well, actually, we should have time to do like another correction later on. But essentially, yeah, I'm kind of like doing this one to then get rid of to jettison this stage and have it crash into the moon. Hopefully not where the rover is. That is the plan. Yeah, kind of help the basic principles of flight are harder than rockets, but I guess generally they are because like with rockets, you only need to care about aerodynamics for the first bit of the journey, whereas I guess with planes you have to worry about them the whole time. And there's also like things like aerodynamic lift, etc., which is I guess a bit more complicated than just like fin or fins or control surfaces. Just we have overshot the burn. It shouldn't be too bad actually. I think the actual timing of the burn doesn't matter so much here. Yeah, central lift, central gravity. Which I've built ones um, which have like the right. Um, yeah, I think that'll work. Oh, actually, yeah. Cool. Right, let's complete this and then get ourselves to normal so that we just because I think that this is just going to be a radial burn to a. Right, yeah, let's just get rid of this. Cool. Well, let's figure out how to not crash into the moon now. Then in theory, this maneuver. Hey. Okay, no, we're not going backwards. Okay, that's fine. I was a bit concerned there that So this should raise our periapsis. Yeah. We want our periapsis to be more than that. Again, about 25, but again, we're coming in a bit low here, so we can make other adjustments. There we go. Yeah, so as I was saying, like, yeah, because I know that the principle like the center of lift versus center of gravity is supposed to be like it's either supposed to be like just in front of, just behind it in order to maintain stable flight. But I've sort of done that, but it still wasn't particularly stable. But yeah, it's surprising how quickly the like space planes can like get quite heavy. And I still don't quite get the the way it displays delta V when it comes to like air breathing engines. I'm assuming it's just like right, let's see if this if jettisoning that makes this a lot. Yeah, it's a bit faster. So yeah, this one will go and hopefully smash into the moon's surface. Leaving us with this one, which again is like way more than we need. But let's turn this down. Cool. Oh yeah, yeah, it does depend on altitude, doesn't it? Although I guess it's the same, but because I guess you get a lot more um, sort of because you're only carrying liquid fuel and you're getting oxygen from the air, then it's like the numbers are generally bigger, so they drop the meters per second from the end, don't they, to display them. Um, but yeah, I guess it does vary with altitude. But yeah, it's difficult to like figure out using air engines if you have enough to get like fast enough to go into orbit. Whereas if like with rockets, it just tells you like you've got a number. And then again, obviously it depends on your how you fly it and what your gravity turn's like. Because again, like it took me a while of figuring out how to do a reasonable gravity turn. Um, I'm not going to say a good one because I wouldn't presume to be good at this game. Or at least to do like a super efficient one. But like, I've normally done ones where like I've put 3,400 delta V on the ascent stage and had quite a bit left over when I've got into orbit. So I'm assuming that like the 3,400 is assuming a relatively inefficient means of there we go. Right, hopefully that should put our periapsis exactly where we want it to be, or roughly where we want it to be. Yeah, not perfect, but there you go. And then how close can we get? 3, 2, 1, 5. Okay, we can get within a yeah, 5. I guess in theory, if we move this thing, yeah, 0.5. Mm, those 2,500. I think I've managed it roughly on that. Because I'm guessing that the 3,400 is literally like the delta V required to escape the atmosphere plus the delta V required to go sideways fast enough once you get out of the atmosphere. Um, and then like the gravity turn just makes that more efficient. We haven't actually, yeah, our maneuver is there. We definitely don't want that. That's definitely wrong. We have to back down on our retrograde there. I think 24 kilometers is relatively should be relatively safe distance above the lunar surface. Okay, let's look at 138 seconds. That's fine. Yeah, so that's about 9k. I think yeah, because like you do get because I think that the delta V map I usually use like gives you a like a lowest safe orbit, which is like it's like 10 kilometers above like atmosphere or highest terrain feature. But I know you can look up like what the height of the highest terrain feature on a given astronomical body. Um, right. Yeah. We've got 2 hours. Let's just do this thing. Is everyone in the family to call around? I imagine if your grandfather's died, I imagine there's probably a lot of calls going. Hmm. Cool, I'm happy with that. Uh, cool. Right, we'll try and attempt a landing, and then do a rendezvous with the Munar station, which is hopefully in the. Oh, this one hasn't actually crashed yet. Switch to. Let's watch it explode. Do you do model rocketry? No, I don't. I don't have any. I haven't really sort of thought about it, and even if I had an interest at the moment, I don't have any outdoor space to or any kind of like space to do that kind of thing. Um, I'm sort of satisfying myself with Kerbal and watching professionals build big rockets. Uh, Here we go. So I sort of watch this thing explode. Since Etheria should hit the ground, but kind of hoping it does. It's probably gonna miss now. Like, this thing doesn't have a probe core on it. Like, this thing was never intended to actually leave low co like to get its low curve in orbit. Um, yeah, we go. And there goes a piece of it. Tracking station. Right, where is it gone? Munar Lander. There we go. Let's fly you again. I'm intending to propulsive land this bit because this is supposed to land. That's the general idea of it. But I'm try and find somewhere to land now. On the daylight side, I think. Have I got flags on? I do. Awesome. So wherever, like, we have a rover here. We've landed on the far side crater. So we haven't landed in this crater yet. So I feel like aim for this crater. And then hopefully not have a quite a hair-raising landing like this time. Ah, yes, not having elevons, and also not putting the elevons behind the rear wheels is another common. Okay, this one, this piece of debris apparently survived, and it's going off on a merry journey. Uh, I think that's probably the engine. I think, but not that it really matters. So yes, we're going to aim to land in a crater of some kind. I think this big crater here. And again, we've got plenty of fuel to actually do this maneuver. So I'm thinking we do like up like this, so we kind of get a bit further into the crater. Then again overshoot a bit would be the plan. No vertical no vertical stabilizers as well. Yeah, you do need stabilizers in like all of the rotation, all the like axes of rotation, don't you? So let's look. Oh, this is going to rotate. So if we warp here, then goodbye, piece of rocket that didn't explode. Yeah, again, they're still kind of in the crater, so I feel like we should be fine. And that's 400. That's make that a bit. The kill like it's about half of our. Looks like a reasonable descent pattern. Oh, is it flying now? 32 seconds bedtime's a little bit long, so maybe for some it um, is at maximum. So 32 seconds is as long as it's going to be. Yeah, we're going to go for a landing. Mach 1.2, nice. Yeah, I'll have to try it. I'll have to try planes at some point. I could have been like unlocking the aerodynamics part to last because like I've not been focusing on planes at the moment. Oh yes, we have landing mode on. That's good. Northwest crater. Nothing. Right. Before we forget, surface. Let's mark that as completed. Let's point ourselves retrograde to orbit and detach. It's like skiing versus snowboarding. I haven't done either of those, so yeah, let's switch this to landers and activate solar and comms. Let's retract you. We don't need you anymore. Cool. Let's rotate ourselves so that we have control. And then wait till we're over the crater, and then do a landing. Oh, hypersonic. Okay, we're over the northwest crater, so we can start. Don't worry, that was meant to happen. Oh, you're on the rockets now. Are you nearly in orbit? It's not quite aligned. That'll do. It's close enough to the horizontal speed now. Millimeters per second, that's fine. Stability assist. Slow ourselves down a bit. Okay. So let us settle. We are on a bit of a hill, but that's fine. Hopefully we're not going to fall over. Inaugural use of our reusable lander, we end up crashing it, but I don't know if it's worth. Think it'll be okay. Let's so let's do our science and okay, Lander's the pilot, you're the scientist. Hopefully this won't be too unstable. Oh, yeah, we can turn off landing mode because that's just going to be annoying. Nice, orbit achieved. Now you got to land the damn thing, which is like, I haven't even tried landing a space. I haven't got a space plane to orbit, let alone try to land one. But like the landing is the thing that I'm most terrified of. Cool. You want to? Did we? Did we bring a? I don't think we. I don't think we brought a an EVA science kit, did we? I'm gonna feel a bit annoyed if that's the case. We didn't bring any. Ah, god damn it! Came all this way. I didn't bring an EVA science kit. That is annoying. Not to worry. We shall have plenty of time to. We'll bring one at some point in the future. We don't actually necessarily need it for what we're doing. We will take a surface sample though. We will take an EVA report. And actually, before we do anything else, we need to grab a crew report from the capsule as well, which I forgot to do. So if we grib, again, hopefully we're not gonna end up cracking this thing over, but it is rather alarmingly. So if we go up here, we switch to this, we do a crew report. Actually, I think if we hit 5, we do all the science, don't we? Yeah. So we can grab the crew report now. Actually, we can't because we need to switch to him and then take the data. Cool. Oh dear. That sounds less than optimal. Are you at least you're in the are you at least in low Kerbin orbit? Alright, let's hope we can actually reach everything from the ladder, because otherwise this is going to be a bit annoying. Right, so can we? Yes, we can. Collect data, restore. Collect data, restore. Actually, no, we don't. Yeah, we don't need the EVA science kit, I don't think, because it's only once per um, biome, rather like once per thing rather than once per biome, once per body, I think. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I see. You are deorbiting, but you're out of fuel. Yeah, the space shuttle like glided down, didn't it? To I saw a video of like someone doing like a real time like how you land the space shuttle, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Oh, like, there's a fair few things about the space shuttle that are like crazy sounding. I think there were various like abort modes, and there's one which like I don't think any of the pilots of the space shuttle ever wanted to have to actually do. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how. I think I'm aware of like vaguely how you're supposed to how like where you're supposed to try and deorbit in order to be on a space plane trajectory back to the Kerbal Space Center. But oh nice. Oh, it's KSC Kennedy Space Center. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, 'cause that's also the initials of the of NASA's one, isn't it? Right. You and Mo Science. Cool. We want your EVA report and your surface sample. Keeping on the time, it is 1 hour and 42. So taking a bit longer than I was planning on to get to the moon, but no matter. Having a very good, very good, interesting conversation with TCVBC Gaming. Uh, I don't know. I mean, like I don't know what what Kerbals refer to themselves as. Like maybe maybe they consider themselves Kerb. Maybe they because you feel like it would be the Kerbin Space Center, wouldn't it? You'd think if it was like a unified sort of like international. I say so. I mean, you assume Kerbals have like I've not really spent much time speculating on the geopolitics of Kerbin. Like oh, because obviously they have like one space center and like the basic um the sort of obviously like in stock you don't even have like lights for like cities and stuff, so you just kind of you don't really question the because obviously the mm, yeah I think there's various theories about them like yeah being sort of plant based because in the base game you don't need to worry about giving them food or anything, um which I guess kind of makes sense. So again, that's like the kind of if it's called Kerbalism, like one of the mods that like adds sort of a need to like bring sort of resources for the actual Kerbals themselves. Um, but yeah, actually, whilst we're here, we can switch to this. Just mash the science button again. So we're going to take one last set of data, which we're going to put in the lander can itself, and that's what's going to go into the lab when we get to the space station to Mose around the moon. And we switch back to him, and we just grab all of this, collect data, restore, take data, collect data, take data. We also need to restore this, don't we? Cool. That's what we need to do there. So we need to do a last couple of science experiments on here, plant our flag, and then we want to try and get back into orbit, and then try and like not sure about time this evening to do our rendezvous with the Munar space station, but take service sample. Oop. EVA report. Oop. Yep. And plant our flag. This is Samlin and Lando. I'm wondering if that name is a reference. I assume it is. Um, where are we? Northwest Crater. Uh, cool. Let's go and so what's this? Their tinfoil. Humans rather made rockets, but put tinfoil people on them. Oh, and call them Kerbals. Oh yeah, I think I remember hearing that. Oh yeah, the develop that's what the developers did. Yeah. Oh, do you owe them the gear that died? The canards. Oh, is that on your space plane? Oh, have you managed to land it? Right. Let's. I guess before we do that, let's take data and then store the experiments, and then we will get on board. I think we're done here. So we will hit the and have an idea of whereabouts 90 degrees is, which is kind of over there. Basically try taking off and hitting orbit, which should be relatively straightforward. Let's go straight up. Hit that sweet 90-degree angle. .20 kilometers, that should be fine. Not the best, but we'll take it. Have maneuver, and let's get ourselves into orbit. I'll do 20 to 21, that should be a stable orbit, and then we can worry about, I think we are generally going in the same direction, aren't we, as the, yeah. Cool, 18-second burn, in just a bin and a half, should get us back into orbit. We can, you're on re-entry. Oh yes, 90k, because you're playing in, oh yes, because you're a realistic solar system, aren't you? So is Kerbal Space Center in the same kind of like rough place on kind of like Earth as it is Kerbin, or have they kind of moved it to the? Because I think the like half the reason for where like NASA and stuff are based are because they're kind of supposedly near the equator, right? For equatorial launches, if I recall correctly. Okay, no worries. I'm gonna be here for another like 10-15 minutes or so. So hope you're not getting hope it's not getting too toasty. Alright, so we're in orbit now at least. So let's look at, once we're in a bit of a inclined orbit, but hopefully we should have enough delta V to actually do this. Alright, so we're hitting our descending node next, so let's have a maneuver there. Descending node, so we need to be going up. .4. 2. Yeah, I think once you're in orbit, the there we go. Yeah, once you're in orbit, the yeah, yeah, sorry, like once you're in orbit, the actual delta V changes aren't super huge. Ah, cool, you've because we just equalize and it's decreasing. I guess you're kind of like going down to terminal velocity now. Oh, you went from 90 to 40 quite quite quickly, and I guess you're kind of yeah, I guess that would happen because you're slowing down as you re-enter the atmosphere, aren't you? So as you're going through, like, 'cause obviously I guess 90 to 40 is a lot thinner than 40 to 30, so that would make sense. Question is, are you on the glide slope for landing at the space center? Which is yeah, I imagine it takes a lot of I imagine it'll take a lot of practice even on like regular Kerbal, like yeah, even on like regular Kerbal Space Program, it probably takes a lot of practice to actually get the orbit such that you just nicely glide in for landing on the runway. I can only imagine how difficult it is to get it right in the realistic solar system. Right, 3 second burn's not super great, so I'm gonna make that a 12 second as a plan. I'll do. Right, let's. Yes, we will correct our relative inclination, then recircularize and then plot our intercept as a plan. Which once we've got a circular orbit on the same inclination, it's usually quite easy to get a nice intercept. One of the things I don't like about these plates is that they don't like the engines don't seem to like. Having said that, actually, I think the symmetry rules only really apply in the VAB. Like once you're actually out here, you need to adjust the thrust limiters individually for multiple engines. At least in my experience. Let's have a look. 0.0, brilliant. So we are currently 27 to 21. So it would make sense to raise our periapsis to 27. I do like the. I actually like someone suggested using this when I started this sort of game file on the stream, and I haven't used it in the other stuff, and it is actually a lot nicer to use. Like using the things here are alright, but when you're using the scroll wheel on the mouse, it has this tendency like the more you scroll, it kind of like sort of exponentially not really exponentially, but like the more you scroll, the bigger the steps get. So it's really difficult to sort of like precisely hit a particular target. Um, you have to it's quite annoying. Whereas this one seems to be like completely linear, like, and you adjust scale using the slider, which is quite cool. Oh no, you lost a wing. Oh dear. Um, were there any Kerbals on board, and have they survived? Oh, oh, I guess realistic solar system. Do you have more realistic re-entry heating as well? Because I guess if you have, yeah, because I mean, if you have, I guess everything's sort of scaled up, isn't it? So, because obviously if you're on like a fully Earth-sized thing, then you're traveling a lot faster in orbit, so you have a lot more speed to bleed off, and presumably there's a lot more atmosphere to heat up around you. I think I'm guessing that like the re-entry heating is one of the things that Kerbal definitely sort of makes less difficult than it would be in real life, because like I mean from what I understand from like the Apollo 13 film and the documentaries about it, was that like in order to like survive re-entry into the atmosphere, you're supposed to have to like hit it at a very narrow range of angles, um in order to like not in terms of I think like always talk about bouncing off the atmosphere, but I'm not sure exactly like if that's the case, if it's a case of like if there's some sort of if that is that just sort of going through the atmosphere and not slowing down enough and then sort of leaving the other side, um, or is it a case of like is there some sort of phenomenon that happens where you like the atmosphere does actually like just kick you back into space? I've never kind of understood that. Like, I'm assuming it's just a phrasing thing. But anyway, let's do this maneuver. I was asking about the essentially like the concept of like it's a phrase I've heard. I'm not sure if it's actually like an actual thing, but the phrase of like bouncing off the atmosphere and like when during re-entry. Like I'm not sure if like whether that's just a case of like if it's actually like an actual like bounce, or if it's a case of like you go in too shallow and you don't slow down enough and you just leave the atmosphere again. Because I know, like in Kerbal, if you come in too shallow, then you won't necessarily slow down enough, and you'll then leave and then still not like capture an orbit around a body. Whereas like I don't know if there's like actual like physical phenomenon where you do kind of get is there actually like a physical bounce or not? Because I know that if you obviously if you're going like too steep, then you hit the lower the thicker atmosphere too early, going too fast, and evening donut. How you doing? I'm having a very interesting conversation with Beasley. Yeah, I'm guessing it's just like you don't. Oh, I missed the thing. Oh well. I will get better at To be fair, that's pretty circular. I'm happy with that. Let's watch the last SpaceX rocket. Well, I mean, I mean, like to be fair, I feel like the last SpaceX rocket was a success. I mean, yeah, so like the main thing they wanted was for it to for it to land. Um, like the fact that it didn't that the yeah it just it went I think I've heard it phrased, it went for a second hop. Um, but I mean, in terms of like obviously like these things that like the SpaceX the Starship asset like serial numbers are, they're prototypes. Like each one is yeah, it actually, yeah, it came. I think they say it came down a bit like a little bit harder than they wanted it to, and like if you actually watch like I think they had like a 4K video stream like they recorded when it was coming down, and you could see on that like the legs deploying, but only like three of them actually locked in because they deploy by gravity, and I think apparently Elon Musk was saying that they were wanting to redesign the legs anyway. Um, but I mean, obviously, like these things are prototypes, so like each one is wanting to test like the next step in the process. So like this one was like the last three have been, getting out the belly flop maneuver and then doing your powered landing. And obviously, like SN8 and SN9 didn't quite manage it for different reasons, and then they kind of they seem to have. Mm, yeah, I think they were like essentially now it's sort of, I guess, landing softly enough that you don't do any like significant damage to the craft, which is obviously what happened with SN10. Was, it landed, but it landed hard, and obviously like these like the things that are taking damage are pressurized fuel tanks. So, and obviously they're like as thin as they possibly can be in order to be as light as they can be. So it's so if they take damage, then there's a fairly good chance. And also there was like a fire going on as well, which probably had some effect on integrity. But I think the Scott Manley video was saying that like the actual like fiery part of the explosion was just kind of like an after effect, because obviously it was like an oxygen tank or something, and it or a methane tank, and like the actual sort of part of the actual thing that like launched it up was just the release of the pressure in the tank. It wasn't actually the fire. The fire was just because a lot of fuel and oxidizer were suddenly in the atmosphere and there was a flame nearby. Um, anyway, we have just passed the 2 hour mark. I think it might be I might set up the maneuver to do the intercept, and then do the docking next time, because I feel like sometimes docking can take at least 10-15 minutes, and I've got stuff on later this hour, so I will set up the maneuver, and then we'll do the maneuver and then do the docking, etc. First thing on Thursday evening would be the plan. But yeah, so essentially I kind of like approach this on a like similar way to kind of like how you estimate going for the moon. Yeah, you kind of like burn at figure rise. So I guess it'd be like there-ish. I don't know. Oh, again, like I just add a thing and then we figure out. So like circular orbit to circular orbit is the easiest way to do a rendezvous. Uh, you do a burn on this basis timing, just being in the same place at the same time. So if you do it like this, then you can see that we're going to be here, but like the station's going to be here. So what we want to do is we want to change the orbit so that it's a lot more closely aligned on this orbit. So now we start moving it around. So that goes. That's going up. So we want to go the other way. $33. Four, two, one. There you go. That'll do. 0.2 kilometer separation, relative speed 33 meters per second. So essentially, like if you can get within like a couple of kilometers, normally the method I use for the actual final approach will get you there. But yeah, so I think we'll that's an hour away. So again, because the actual like rendezvous itself will take some time, because they're invited to do it nice and slowly. And then obviously when we get there, we'll have to like maneuver in and dock. So I think I'll leave that until like first thing to do next time. But we have successfully landed on the moon. We've successfully got some science. We did so with a rocket that was way over-engineered for the job, because that way we always have more fuel than we need, and then you can just have things crash into things for amusing fireworks that hopefully don't involve killing Kerbals. We are still only on one Kerbal fatality so far. Unfortunately, Val did succumb to a not very well thought out abort procedure. But yeah, so I think that will do. So we shall leave these guys in orbit around the moon. I don't know if the cabin lights actually draw power, but in theory we should have a lot of electric charge. Yeah, we should have enough fuel to get back. But yes, I think we'll leave it there. Head back to Space Center and do our saving and exiting. So basically, at the moment, my schedule is Sundays. So it's today between 5 and 7 p.m. GMT, and then Thursdays between 6 and 8 GMT. That's my current schedule, and like I'm trying to keep to it. I think there are occasions when I have something comes up and I need to sort of cancel one, but yeah, I'll be that's when I should next be on, and then yeah, cool. I'm sure I saved, but I'm gonna save again because I'm paranoid. Yeah, there we go. We save 15, and we shall go to the main menu before I forget that I saved, and then try and save again. But yeah, so yeah, I think we shall be ending the stream there. Thank you very much, Beastly, for I assume you don't mind me calling you Beastly, for joining me for a fair bit of the stream, and thanks for showing up as well, Donut. Um, but yeah, cool. I think I will call it there, but hopefully see people again on Thursday. Or if not, then hopefully people will watch it on YouTube. But I don't super mind if people do or don't. Again, I'm doing this more for my own entertainment than I am for trying to become popular or anything. But there you go. So anyway, I'll see you all later. Again, Thursday. Cheerio.